What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Wednesday, December 4th, 2024. Wow, this year has flew by so fast. 27 days left for the year of 2024. My name is Chris Drummond again. I am a freelance sports reporter based out of Minnesota here. I'm also in sales and proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why and get to know them outside of our occupation. I got a special guest that's going to be coming on with me today. Her name is Christy Harst. She is based out of the Ohio area. She is someone that's been in a voiceover actor for the past 20 plus years. She's also been in marketing, and she also has a campaign that she markets for called Building Doors. We're definitely going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about her why into voiceover acting and get to know her a little bit. So without any further ado, I introduce to you the wonderful, talented, and the beautiful Christy.
Hi,
Good morning.
how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am wonderful, thank you. Where are you geographically located?
I'm in the Midwest. I'm in Minnesota. So,
Okay, so you're cold too.
very cold, no question.
Hmm.
As you
I'm
can
in
see.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, absolutely, yes. And it is a pleasure to have you on my podcast. You look absolutely lovely, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I want to ask you, how was your Thanksgiving and how was your week been going so far?
So Thanksgiving was interesting this year because some of us were sick, and so we didn't travel to our normal family members, so we stayed at home. But it was nice because we got to watch the parade and the dog show uninterrupted, which was wonderful.
Yeah, that's always
And
really
you?
good, right? Yeah, absolutely. Well, my family's scattered out. So my mother is in Georgia, where my aunt and uncle also live. That's where I graduated my undergrad from. And then my dad is also in New York. So he's in
Oh,
upstate New York. So I didn't get to see them. You know, being a journalist, it's very hard to get time off for all the holidays. Christmas, I'll actually go see my mom's in Georgia. I actually just saw my dad on a cruise last month. I took time off to go on a cruise, so went and saw him. So I'm gonna go see mom's for Christmas. But it was still good. It was still good. I got a chance to eat some good food
okay.
and be around some really good people. So it was really awesome. I appreciate that.
And Georgia is warmer.
Tell me about it. Much warmer. Tell me about it. Much warmer. No question. No question at all.
Mm.
Christy, I want to reiterate to you why I wanted to have you on here, okay, before I
Yes,
start
please
to
do.
you with all these questions, okay? So I know you've been a voiceover actor for over 20 plus years.
Yep.
I also know that you've been in marketing as well, and you're doing something with Building Doors, a Building
Yes.
Doors campaign as well.
Yes.
Uh, as I've stated before, I am a journalist.
Mhm.
So I love talking to other people in media. I love getting to know their why. Everybody
Yeah.
has a story to tell, including you. And
Yes.
I'm sure your story is as special as anyone else's is.
Oh, that's so great. I love
No,
that.
no question about it. So I wanted to kind of hear your why of why you got to the voiceover,
Mhm.
some of the work that you have done,
Mhm.
because you've been doing it for so long and obviously so long and so well too. So, and I also want to hear about the Building Doors campaign as well. What
That's
started
great.
that? So I do have questions here. We're gonna get into it, and we're gonna have ourselves a really good time here today.
Let's do it.
So, without any further ado, here we go. My first question to you is the same as it always is.
Mhm.
What is your why? Right? What is your why of doing what you do? What is your why of being in media? Was there any role models, any inspirations growing up? But why did you get into voice over acting?
Great question.
Mhm.
When I was 12 years old, I grew up in a very strict Catholic house,
Mhm.
and I grew up in a rural farming community, very small town, not much
Mhm.
to do. So on Friday nights, we would watch because back then there was only one TV in the house, right? Only one.
I feel that. I feel
Okay,
that.
right.
Hmm.
So we would watch 2020. And for if you don't know, and for those who may be watching your podcast who don't know, 2020 was like a Dateline-esque show.
Oh
And
yeah,
it was
Barbara
hosted,
Walters. Yeah.
yeah, there you go. It was hosted by Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters. And
Yep.
back then, and I know I'm dating myself, there weren't a lot of women on TV reporting that kind of news. Barbara Walters
Right.
interviewed the most powerful people in the world,
Right.
leaders in politics, actors, actresses, philanthropists, and she did it in a way that no one else did. And I stood up one night, I was 12 years old, in the middle of my family room, and I said to my parents, I'm going to kick that lady out of her chair. You watch, I'm going to be famous. And my dad laughed, right? Laughed, laughed, laughed. Ha, ha, ha.
I would have laughed too.
Okay.
No question. No question.
And so, because I grew up in such a small rural farming community, I didn't have access to things that maybe kids in New York City or California would have in terms of pursuing a dream in broadcasting.
Mhm.
So I joined 4-H. And for those of you who don't know what 4-H is, it is a program for kids in farming communities to show their cattle at county fairs. There's sewing programs, there's cooking programs, and there's even public speaking programs. And so I
Wow.
joined the public speaking programs, and I competed with other kids and made it all the way to the state level. And so what that did was that it provided me the skill set to be able to speak um, efficiently and speak on like off the top of my head and really get some preparation for what would be considered on camera skills. So fast
Sure.
forward, I got a college scholarship to go play volleyball at college. So I played volleyball in college and I studied broadcast communications.
Okay.
I was pursuing that dream of becoming the next Barbara Walters, hadn't lost it, right?
Right.
And I participated in the college radio station. I was the news director and the operations director. I had 4 internships, one of which was at MTV in New York. And it
Oh.
was there at MTV that I got to see exactly what it takes for a woman to be successful.
Okay.
And I didn't want to do it. I was like,
Mm.
I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. So, with 2 months left to graduate, I called up my parents and said, I don't want to be the next Barbara Walters anymore. I don't want to do what I have to do.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
got into marketing and public relations, and I had about a 10-year career in that field, event planning, all that good stuff. But there was this tug that I
Hmm.
constantly felt.
Right.
I would drive to work and listen to the radio, and I would say, I can do it better than these people. I would watch TV commercials, and I'd be like, I can do it better than them. And
Sure.
so I made a New Year's resolution one year. It was the third year or second year after I graduated college, and I said, I'm going to get an agent. And I did. And I was with that agent for 17 years, and I did a slew of on camera, a lot of on camera work at the time,
Okay.
and a sprinkling of voiceover. And I did that on the side for about 10 years. So I've been doing voiceover for 20 years, right? But the first 10 was as almost like a hobby. It was like fun money. It was in addition to a 9 to 5 job.
Sure.
And it wasn't until my husband and I decided to have kids and we researched the cost of daycare that I was like, so I'm going to work a job, a 9 to 5 job, and I'm
Yeah.
going to hand my paycheck over to somebody else to raise my kid. Because that's literally how much it is. Like it
Oh
literally
yeah.
was like
Oh yeah.
handing my whole paycheck over.
I've
And it
heard.
was, yeah,
Absolutely.
it was at that point that my husband and I decided, you know what? I was pregnant with our first kid. Let's build a studio in the basement and let's do voiceover full time. And so that
Mm.
was kind of what led up to me deciding to do voiceover full time.
Wow. That's a hell of a start, Christy. It's a hell of a start to
Mm.
this podcast. I love it. And listen, I do this podcast for a reason of I really think more women should be in the media space, and not just in the media space, but in hierarchy positions. As a man, I love to see men. That's great, but I
Sure.
also love to see women as well in these roles. And when you're a journalist like myself, and you're going to cover different kind of sporting events, because I do sports predominantly, that's my genre. You don't see a lot of faces of females. You don't see
Mm.
female photographers. You don't see female journalists a whole lot.
Wow, that's good to
Especially
hear.
especially on a local level. You really don't. And I want to see more. And I want to be able to have more of these type of conversations, right? I love that drive. Like from the very beginning, you was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this regardless of what people say. And yeah, people might have scoffed at it because it was foreign, right? You don't see a lot of women back then
Right.
on TV, but you had a dream and you were pushing it. I want to ask this bonus question because you got me a little intrigued. What exactly did you find out that led you to say, you know what, I'm going to pass on this and pivot my direction towards something else? What exactly did you experience or see that you can talk about that led you to the pivot?
At the time, and this is the late 90s, there weren't a lot of women in positions of power at MTV, but there was
Yeah,
one, and she was infamous. I'm not going to say her name. She's still
I got,
there.
I got you.
But my intern desk was right next to her office,
Hmm.
and I was privy to see things from, the outside looking in
Sure.
as to how she had to conduct herself, the reputation that she had, the things that she had to do, the way that she had to talk.
Hmm.
And I just saw exactly what I didn't want to be. And just working, or rather interning at MTV, I got to see what it was like for people wanting to climb to the top and the things that they had to do.
Sure.
And I wasn't willing to be cutthroat. I wasn't willing to move to a podunk town in Tennessee and earn pennies on the dollar to run an entire small town TV station, go home, at midnight to roaches in my house, and wake up and do it all the next day just to keep my fingers crossed to hope that I could get it back to Cleveland, Ohio, the 13th largest media market. I
Yep.
wasn't willing to do it. I was like, this is not what I spent 4 years in college doing. It's not what I've worked so hard to do. And
Hmm.
so I wasn't willing to do those things. And I said, I've got plenty of other talents and skills. Let me apply them somewhere else. And what's so interesting about the question, your why, is I believe that I realized my why way too late in life. It was it was always in me, my why,
Hmm.
but outside influences like my parents and teachers and older adults were like, you've got to get a job, you've got to pay bills, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Life is hard. You can't earn a living with your passion as an artist. You're not gonna pay
Right.
the bills like that.
Right.
And so I listened to all of those things. I listened
Yep.
to all of them. And I remember distinctly, before I got married, no, it was after I got married. I was at church with my husband, and the pastor at the time, every single week, every single week for a year, this guy stood up and said, each one of you was put on this earth for a reason.
Hmm.
It is your job to figure out what that reason is and then give back. Use that talent that you were given and give back. And
Sure.
he said it
Yeah.
every which way to Sunday and back, every which way he could, every single week. And hearing that message really made me think about service to others, and made
Hmm.
me think about what comes naturally to me. Like, what am I just naturally good at that people either compliment me on and say, oh, you're really good at that. And what do I like doing? And then figure out a way to make a living from that. And
Hmm.
I don't think enough kids are being told this, because in today's age of technology and everything that we have at our disposal, the advent of AI, um, there are so many opportunities for young people to not do what I did and listen to that tug, listen to
Right.
it early,
Right.
and develop the skills, because not everybody has to go to a 4 year college, right? You don't have to go to a 4 year college to be a voice actor, right? I
More
did.
so
I
now
went.
than ever. More so now than ever. No
Right.
question.
Right. So I think that your question about the why really could go into a whole podcast in and of itself, of how to discover your why, what to pay attention to know your why, and then how to turn your why into something that is you can earn money from, right? It's a whole thing.
Oh, for sure. No question. I love the fact that you did the pivot though. And that's the most intriguing thing is that, you made that decision of, you know what, this is not for me. And a lot of times, Christy, is sometimes, especially graduates, that I try to talk to, and also I try to talk to high schoolers as well.
Me too. Yeah.
Um, yeah, you try to talk to them and give them some advice because sometimes they're kind of on the fence of making those decisive decisions, of pivoting, of not knowing what to do. And
Right.
I say try everything. Like try everything and do what you love, right? Like
Yep.
sit down and actually think about what you love to do because anything that you love to do and you want to do it, you can benefit from financially. You can,
And so do other people,
and
right?
so do others. That's right. No
Because if
question.
you have a father or a mother who goes to a job they hate, they come
Hmm.
home, they're miserable. That
Hmm.
energy then goes on to the family, and then
Sure.
everyone is miserable. And
Absolutely.
we need to set a better example for our kids and just for community members and, the community at large that you can do what you want to do, you can do what you're good at, and you should do what you're good at because we all receive a gift.
Right.
And in simply giving back to your community, you can still get money, you can still earn money and have a living and still be a benefit. I think that that's not being told enough right now to high schoolers and recent college grads.
Absolutely. I'm a substitute teacher. I
Oh,
am a
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a freelance journalist as well, and also work in sales. And people say, "Well, that's a lot to do." Well, no, it really isn't. It's stuff that I love to do. I
Right,
love to do it. I love to be a mentor.
right.
I've worked in publications for the past 6, 7 years. I saw that I needed to do a pivot in order for me to elevate my status because I wanted to be able to do more than just the local high school and college. I want to do professionals too, and I've started to do
Hmm.
that now with
Right.
freelance. So you have to know when to pivot. You also have to know when to give great information, when to give great mentorship, and give these kids an opportunity to not just have it the same old. How we may have grown up because teachers and people say, well, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way, or you got to do it a conventional way. This day and age, there's no such thing as a conventional way. With all the stuff that you mentioned coming now, including AI, there's no conventional way anymore. It's just a matter of what is the best and most comfortable way for you to do things. With that being said, though, I want to talk about your college choice. You went to Baldwin Wallace College, if I'm not, or University, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I want to know, were there any other schools that you considered
Yep.
going to before
Yeah.
going to Baldwin Wallace?
Yeah, of course. There were a number. Baldwin Wallace, what I liked about Baldwin Wallace when I visited is that it was a campus that was small, people were friendly. I was able to play volleyball, which aided in my ability to pay for college. I knew I didn't want to become a professional volleyball player, so I knew that I wanted to be in broadcasting. And they had a radio station, they had the major, and it wasn't a plane ride, it was a drive from home. So
Hmm.
it was far enough away that I felt like I was away, but also close enough that if I really needed something, I was only like an hour or so away.
Hmm.
And there were other schools, but they didn't have. What I also liked about BW is that its proximity to Cleveland. So I came from a small rural farming community and I was done. I was done with the small town. I was like, no, I don't want to drive past any more cornfields. I want to be in the
Look at that.
city. This is what I want to do.
Okay.
And of course, there's easy access to TV stations for internships. And, it just made sense.
Hmm.
There were other colleges that I looked at, but the reason I chose BW is because of the small campus feel, proximity to a city, proximity to my home, and they were willing to pay me, some change to play volleyball, which is something that I love to do. So why not?
Okay, I'm with that. Now, what did you? Were you a setter in volleyball, libero, outside hitter? What was your position?
I was a middle hitter, and I was a 4-year starter, 2-year captain. Don't play.
Oh, okay. Now I like that. Okay. All right. I'm with you on that now.
Mhm, mhm.
Listen, I've covered. So when I moved up here to Minnesota, it was the first time I ever covered volleyball. In Atlanta, Georgia, I worked for publications down there, but I covered baseball, basketball, and football and lacrosse. So I
Oh,
didn't do
okay.
volleyball
Right.
in the South. But up here in Minnesota, volleyball is king.
It's
No
different.
question
Isn't
about
it
it.
different?
It's a little different, no
It's a
question. Like
little different.
a little different here. They be winning state championships here.
Yep.
In this
Yep.
small town, like beating the Minneapolis St. Paul teams that have bigger, you know what I mean? So
It's
it's
like they grow them in a cornfield. I know.
no question.
The girls are no joke.
They were not. I had a chance to cover two state championships, a lot of section championships, a lot of respect for those coaches and players
Yep.
that can play volleyball position because it's not easy. I even went in to a practice, and I was like, let me practice with y'all one time. I want to see how this is. The first spike, I was about it. I'm good. You spiking the ball too hard. And it's too hard. That ain't me. Now let me get a basketball in my hand. I need to stay in my lane, Christy. I gotta stay in my lane. I was driving 50. I was driving 55 and a 25. That's no good. That's no good.
It's a fast sport. It's very
Mhm.
fast. And that's what I like about it is that it is a constant, boom, 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 boom. And
Right.
that's what I loved about it. It was super quick. And I love team sports. I absolutely love team sports.
I love it
There's,
too, but
there's
it
something
doesn't
about,
help. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just about to say there's something about, because after college, I decided to take up tennis.
Oh,
And that's an individual sport, and that's all fine and dandy. But there's something to be said about slapping a hand after a play and working
sure.
together to accomplish one goal and
Sure.
supporting the person to your left and to your right to get them
Mhm.
better, right? Because you're only as good
Absolutely.
as the person beside you. And I love that about team sports. And I think that's probably what you experienced when you went to that practice, which is the setter can't do her job unless the passer does her job, and the hitter
Right.
can't do her job unless the passer and the setter do their job. No job is can be done unless you're all doing it.
Right. You got to be on a string. And definitely it didn't help that I'm in my 30s now. And these girls are flying around at 16, 17, and I can't keep up. I got to stay in my lane. Cannot keep up with these girls anymore or these young kids, these young boys. Same thing happened in the basketball practice. When with the basketball practice with the boys basketball practice, I was like, hey man, let me run with y'all. I want to see how this is and see how a practice is with a team, so it will better write for my story. A
Right.
feature story that I was doing. And these kids were running up and down the court, Christy, and I'm like, am I going just super slow or are they just super fast? Like
They're
I don't.
just super fast.
And I never had that kind of thought process until I've gotten older, and I knew it was time to start playing 30 and up with people in basketball. It's time to start doing that because yeah, these 16, 17-year-olds gonna whip me out the gym.
Yeah,
Um, I want to ask some favorite questions. So you give me the 411 off the rip based upon these favorite questions that I have. Christy, are you
do
ready?
it. Do it.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Favorite meal you like to cook?
All right. My husband is from Venezuela, and my favorite meal is coming up this Saturday. It's Hijaca Day. Hijacas are a Venezuelan tamale, and it is a traditional dish, just like we have turkey here in Thanksgiving. In
Okay.
Venezuela, it's hijacas. Hijacas are on commercials everywhere when you go down to Venezuela at Christmas time. Their cell phone companies have people coming out with like hijaca. It's a whole thing. It is a
Okay.
laborious task and it includes everything but the kitchen sink, but it is literally one of my favorite days of the year when our family gets together and make hijakas.
Wow, you know it's serious when you bring out the word laborious. No question about that. You know it's serious. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hijackers. I definitely love that because I don't think I've ever heard of that dish on my
No,
podcast. So please definitely hit me up with how to make that because I want to be able to do that for sure.
the recipe is 6 pages long.
Okay. Please don't hit me up with that.
I know,
That's cool.
right?
We can do something else.
It takes days. Yeah, it takes days, but I love it. I absolutely love it.
I feel it. No question. Okay, here we go. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Sade.
Girl, you're gonna have me smiling in a minute. You know how hard it is to get a black man to blush? How hard it is. Come on now. I'm just trying to tell you, come on, Sade. That threw
I
me off for a minute. Talk to me.
She was coming to town and I went to get tickets. And this is back when you had to go to Ticketmaster at the mall and stand in line. And so I went to the mall, stood in line, and I get up there and she's like, yeah, third row center. I was like, say what now? And that
Oh,
was back when it was just randomized, like they type in,
oh yeah.
okay, so this person wants these tickets, and then whatever comes up, you can choose, or you can say, oh, pass, call again and see what I can get if I can get something better. First
Right.
thing she picked up was third row center. So I was 3 rows from the stage and to see Sade, and I was, oh God, it was amazing. It was absolutely
Uh,
amazing.
the most uniquest voice
Yep.
for just period. I mean, just one of those
Period.
smooth
Smooth,
like vibe type of
classic.
voices.
The minute you
Um,
put her on, It's
You
a
know it's
vibe.
her. You
Yes.
know it's her. Like when you put Whitney on, you knew it was Whitney. When you
Correct.
knew it was Janet, you knew it was Janet. When you knew it was
Hmm.
Sade, it was Sade. There was nobody else
Yep.
that could sing like her and do her. No question about
No question.
it. Okay, you got some good taste. I like that. All right. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Venezuela. I met my husband there.
I love it. I love that. Now, talk about that. Like, what made you want to go to Venezuela? Was that like a girls' trip, family trip? And obviously, that's where you met your husband at, which is amazing. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I was working downtown Cleveland. I was living in downtown Cleveland. So I was meeting a lot of new people. And I met this young lady, and she was from Venezuela. And we were hanging out every once in a while after work, having happy hour drinks, la di da. We had known each other for like 2 months, and I was with a circle of friends. And she just announces one day, I'm going to Venezuela. I have to go there for work and to visit my family. If anyone wants to come along, come.
Hmm.
I'll go. So I went
Wow.
to CVS the
Okay.
next day, got my passport. I went, met her brother the first thing off of the plane. And then he came back with us and stayed for about a month. And that's when we hired an immigration lawyer, did everything legally. Thank you for anyone watching.
Hmm.
And he came here, and we've been married 16 years, have 2 kids. All is good.
I love it. If you like it, then put a ring on it. I know that's right.
I
So
mean, listen, I brought home a nice little souvenir.
I feel you sure did.
Didn't I?
You sure did. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would have to say so. Hey, listen, it's better than a keychain. That's for sure.
Or a magnet.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I get it. I totally get it. This is a two-part question. I'm a sports
Mhm.
guy. Okay, so
Okay.
favorite sport you like to
Okay.
watch on TV.
All
Favorite
right.
sport you like to attend in person. They could be the same sport.
So that's I would have had a normal answer before this summer, but this summer
Mhm.
our family went and sat darn near, I mean, we were first row at a Cleveland Guardians game.
Okay.
And then we went to a Cincinnati Major League Soccer game.
Okay.
We have attended Cleveland Browns games.
God
And
bless your heart.
I will say, I love to watch football. I love to watch football. I even sat front row to see LeBron James play for the Cleveland Cavs. And I
Okay.
love live sports. I love going to see live sports. There's not a live sport that I think I don't really enjoy, because when you're
Mm.
that close up to see professional
Hmm.
athletes doing what they do. I even took our daughter, who is about to be 12. She's an
Awesome.
athlete, and
Okay.
golf is her thing. I took her to see the Ohio State girls golf team, and even to see those women, those top tier D1 athletes perform was amazing. But I will say that I would say I love watching football live and in person. I love watching football on TV. I would say that it's between a live in-person football, and I gotta tell you, that Major League Soccer game was like nothing we had ever experienced. It
Yeah.
was constant energy.
Mm.
It was They had a darn parade from the local park to the stadium
They
with
sure do.
these huge and then the whole section with the flags that are the size of like a Ford truck dealership. It was just, my daughter turned to me when she's like, "This is intense." And it never stopped. There was never a lull, never a commercial break. Like, it was unlike any other professional sporting event I had ever attended. And I was hooked. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I would say it's a tie. It's a tie between seeing your favorite football team live and an MSL event. At least the one we went to was amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, they start from like you said, the outside. They got the lines, they got the flags. The people are standing the entire match almost.
The entire match.
I know Atlanta United. When I went to those games, they have those supporter sections where you get those general admission tickets. Man, they normally have people standing the entire match, cheering, rooting, and it's just 45 minutes of nonstop. The only time people really get to go somewhere is when there's halftime. It's
Right.
halftime when people do that. They come
Right.
back for second half and they'll play it like that. I'm a football and basketball guy, no question about it. I do like football in person, but you definitely have to be close because if you're not close for football, they can look very miniature on that football field.
I agree.
Basketball, it's you. I don't think you really matters where you sit because of
Yeah.
the capacity of the arena. It's just not as big as a football stadium. But I
Yeah, I would
love
agree.
I love those games. I love football, basketball, soccer, anything like James Taylor said, Christy, you got a friend in me. There's no question about it. No question about it. I love the fact that you love live sports. That's amazing. You
Love
got a
it.
friend in me, girl. No question
Love
about
it.
it.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, here we go. Last of the favorites. I'm a foodie. Okay, I've only been to Cleveland, Ohio, a couple times.
Oh,
One of those times was on a megabus, but that's a whole story, another story for sure. I want to ask you, what is some favorite restaurants there that I should check out the next time that I'm there?
listen, Cleveland is a food mecca. I don't care what anyone says. We have amazing, amazing, amazing food.
You
Michael
do.
Simon, who is a Iron Chef, he has restaurants here. You can go to any
Okay.
one of those. You'd be
Okay.
blown away. If you come to Cleveland and don't have a po' boy, then you haven't visited Cleveland. So if you don't know what a po' boy is, it
Mm-mm.
is well, there's two sandwiches there's two that you have to have, a po' boy and a panini sandwich. So the po' boy is it's like not a Polish sausage. It's more like it's a spiced sausage, right? And they put it
Okay.
on the grill so it's crispy, and sometimes they cut it open so that it gets all crispy and stuff on the outside. They put it in like a hoagie or a hot dog bun, and they
Okay.
slap a ton of French fries, and then coleslaw, and then barbecue sauce. Shut up! You don't have one of those. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says. It is magic in a bun. It is
Now,
quintessential
now
Cleveland.
you had my attention until you said coleslaw. I don't know about no damn coleslaw now, but everything else is smacks. Everything else slaps.
Now, then, okay, so then the other sandwich that you absolutely have to have, and there's a debate between Cleveland and Pittsburgh as to who started this sandwich first,
Okay.
because they claim that the Panini brothers come from Pittsburgh and they're the ones that started it. But we believe in Cleveland that they started here first. And so a panini sandwich, just imagine the softest French bread you can imagine.
Okay.
And then they take your choice of deli meat. You can get pastrami, you can get turkey, you can get just about any deli meat. And they put it on the grill and they make it all nice and hot. They put that on the
Mm.
bread.
Oh,
You'll see a trend here. You'll see a trend. Then you
yeah.
can pick cheese if you want cheese on it. And then you can
I
do
do.
a fried egg if you want to do a fried egg. And then they
Mm-hmm.
put more French fries. They put French fries on top,
Doing that.
tomato, and then you can have the coleslaw. Now the coleslaw is not a creamy coleslaw. It is a vinegar peppery based coleslaw. And they
Okay.
put that on top. The sandwich is no joke, like the size of your face. It is exactly what you need after a night out clubbing.
Oh,
Exactly what you need if you've had too much, if you've been overserved at the Guardians game, a Cavs game, or a Cleveland Browns game. It
sure.
is late night traditional food and it is amazing. Now, that's like, street food, right? Like those two things are street food. But again, there are so many amazing chefs that have restaurants in Ohio City along the West Side Market. Oh, you should go to the West Side Market. The West Side Market. Listen, this would take up your whole podcast. Food. I should stop.
That's okay. Listen, I'm a foodie, so I want to listen to everything you got to say, Christy, about the food because
At
my,
West Side Market, you can go
yeah.
and they have this. There's one stand that has they make fresh crepes for you, and you can
Oh,
make savory or sweet, right? Fresh
okay. Yes.
crepes.
Yes.
There's a fromage, like a cheese one. Then there's these sandwiches. I mean, listen,
It's a good breakfast spot.
there's a very good breakfast spot.
Okay.
It's in the side door. It's like not a lot of people know about it. It's on the side. You got to go into
Mm-hmm.
the side and they make
Mm-hmm.
this breakfast sandwich. Then there's the
Okay.
roaming biscuit. The roaming biscuit. These people, they don't
Now
know how
you
to
talking,
act.
girl. Let's talk about that. The Roman biscuit, because I like that. I just like the word biscuit. I don't care nothing about the Roman, but the biscuit part, I love it. Talk to me.
Listen. They don't they look. Have you ever heard somebody say it doesn't make any sense? And sense is spelled CENTS because they can't properly say sense because
I
it's
feel
so
that.
good.
I feel that.
This place doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
The
Okay.
biscuit itself is so like it's perfectly crisp on the outside, fluffy and just joyous on the inside. And then
Mm.
you can have biscuits and gravy. You can have a biscuits and gravy sandwich. You can have a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. You can have um, a sweet one with like they make their own marmalades and jams, and then you can
Now
it's
you
just
talking.
all kinds of fabulousness in your mouth.
I love that, Christy. I do. I love it. Now, I do plan on coming to Cleveland a couple of times. One is absolutely definite. Obviously, when I'm there, I'm going to have to hit you up. We're going to have to do something together. Something. I don't care what it is, but we're going to do something.
Yes. There is a
Um,
Mexican coffee place you have to visit. It's owned by a Mexican woman. She just started, and she's a
mm,
female-owned business in Ohio City. It's called Delilah. You should go there and get some coffee too.
okay, so fun fact. I've never had a cup of coffee. Oh wow. Did you just see your face turn? Your face turned like crazy. Like
The
yeah, I'm
first
not
time I ever had coffee was when I
mhm,
was 36 after I gave birth to my daughter. I didn't have coffee either the majority of my life. I didn't need it.
okay.
But it wasn't
Okay.
until I had a child that I needed it. So I can
Oh
understand if you haven't had coffee, but
no, no, not
I
yet.
have learned to appreciate the different styles of coffee, the different
Mhm.
countries that provide coffee,
Sure.
and just the whole experience of getting together for coffee is a great social thing to do.
Absolutely. Listen, look, we can certainly do that. I wouldn't mind that with you at all. No question. I'll get a smoothie. I'll get some juice. I'll trust me. I'll drink something. You won't be drinking alone. That's for sure.
Hmm.
But the reason why I say that is I love asking that question because there's different places that different people are. I love to travel. Me being a bachelor, I can certainly do that very easily now
Right.
and move. And then Cleveland is the spot of the next NABJ.
That's
If
right.
what that is. So that is definitely it's almost definite that I will be there next
That's
year.
awesome.
No question. So yes, when I'm there, I will definitely say hello and check out the Roman biscuit for sure. All right, I'm with you on that. I want to ask about your day to day. As you know, journalists, we never have the same days. Our days are different, and they were different when I was working full time with a publication. They're still different now that I'm doing
Mhm,
freelance, right? We don't work the regular 8 to 4, 9 to 5 type of shifts.
mhm.
Sometimes they're just long days. As a voiceover talent, I can imagine that you get all different kinds of projects, all different kinds of things that you have to do, and they probably take different kinds of times to do them. Talk to me about your day to day of being a voiceover talent, and what kind of projects you do, how many projects you do in a day, when do you shut it off? Like what is the day to day of a voiceover?
There is no typical day to day, which is great.
Mhm.
It's always different. I have clients that I've had for 15 years. I have clients that I've had for a week. And I'll have people that find me online. They have me do a job. I'll never hear from them again. I rarely have any face-to-face communication. It's all via email, text, social media. And what I love about my job is that I can create my own schedule. And with kids, that's important. So
Very.
I work out of my home-based studio, which is behind me.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I usually work in my pajamas all day. Like I don't have to get fancy. I don't have to get up, get dressed, do anything, and that's great too. Um, I spend a lot of my time marketing myself
Mhm.
and auditioning. I spend the majority of my time doing those two things. I spend very little time actually working. It takes a lot to be a freelance voiceover actor, owning your own small business. You have to play all the roles, which is accountant, marketer, talent, researcher. Um, and those things all take time. I
Yep.
cannot just simply put up a website and hope that I'm going to get work because that's not how it works. I have to let people know who I am, what I do, and that I'm available. I have quick turnaround time. And because I have my own home studio, I can get things done super quick. And in this business, that's super important. Everything is last minute. The last thing people think about is voiceover. They're off creating the script. They're doing the creative. They're coming up with the concepts. They're trying to hire the people to video to shoot the video, to be in the video. Voiceover is like the very last thing people think about. And it needs to be super quick turnaround time. So it's
Right.
beneficial that I have my own home studio and that I can get to things, right away. So I do a lot of last minute requests. I do a lot of quick turnaround things. And I love it. It's great because, 2 years ago, my daughter broke her thumb on the playground at school. and I
Mhm.
was literally recording something for a client. I was able to take the phone call, stop recording, take her to the hospital, come back, and finish my job. And imagine if you were a parent at a traditional 9 to 5 job, what that would look like. It'd be very
Oh,
stressful.
yeah, I
It would be
would.
very stressful. It would all be about, well, are you going to take this from your vacation time or your sick time? Well, are you going to come back today? And blah, blah, blah. None of that mess. Like, who needs that?
Hmm.
We don't. So every day is different, and I love it.
I think that's the one thing that we do love about, being in the media industry is that it's not a repetitive kind of thing 9 to 5
Mm,
every day. Like the
mm,
different things that you get to do and experience and the projects that you get to work on, it's exciting. And
yep.
I love it. That's one of the things I love about journalism. I'm intrigued about voiceovers because a lot of people have said, Chris, this is something you should dive into. And I've never really gave too much thought about it. I mean, I've done radio, I've done broadcast in front of the camera. I do print now, and I've done print for several years, but I've never done voiceover work because one, I've never really had the equipment, and then two, it's just something that I've just never thought of. But I really am starting to think about it a lot because you hear the different kind of audiobooks and people's voices, and I'm like, man, I could possibly do something like that. I think people would enjoy listening to me. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Um, what kind of advice would you give someone that wants to start in this industry of voiceover acting? That's either maybe a postgraduate or maybe a little seasoned like myself in age, or somebody that may be an intern somewhere. Like, what kind of advice would you give that individual?
It's never too late to start anything in life. I know people that have been working traditional 9 to 5 jobs, retire in their 60s and start voiceover. I think you need to
Mhm.
be very realistic about what you want from voiceover. Voiceover is my full-time career. Um, I think they did a study, and I think it's something crazy like 80% of voice actors earn less than $10,000 a year. It's a very competitive field. It
Absolutely.
is not easy to earn a decent amount of money in voiceover, and you will have a lot of up and down years. I think you need to be very clear about what you want from voiceover
Mhm.
when you decide to enter voiceover. I think it's also important to realize that just because you have a good voice, or just because somebody says that you have a good, like you can do a couple impressions,
Sure.
voiceover is acting. It's called voiceover acting for a reason. And so
Right.
I highly suggest anyone interested in getting into the voiceover field first determine how you want to enter. Do you want to be full time? Do you want to be part time? Is this just going to be some fun money and a hobby? Great, no judgment, right? But be clear as to what you want voiceover to be. And then establish the investment you're willing to make. I suggest anyone who wants to earn money from voiceover to get a coach, to get an acting coach. Don't waste money on a demo. Don't waste money on equipment. Don't do any of that until you have some lessons under your belt with a voiceover coach. They will help
Mhm.
you learn how to dissect the script. They will help you learn how to do triggers and learn how to billboard certain things within a script and really get you to the point where when you get an audition, you know what to do with it, right? And then you can be competitive. Then once the voiceover coach, a good one, right, will tell you when you're ready to create a demo. Demos cost 2000 plus. Don't let anyone tell you different because a commercial demo is like your resume. It's the first thing that you're going to use to say, look at what I can do. And only a good coach will be able to tell you when you're ready. Because if you send out a demo that has 5 spots on it, and one is a character voice, one is a traditional commercial voice, one is this, one is that, one is this, if a potential client listens to that, and this happens all the time, they'll call you up and they'll say, you know, that spot that is on your demo that you did for the National Geographic, I need that voice. If you can't walk into a booth or a space and immediately reproduce that voice, you've lost the job. You need to be able to have been practiced and trained so that you can provide those tones, those different characters, whatever, on a
Mhm.
on a moment's notice. So I highly suggest workshops. There's tons of online workshops that typically cost 80 to $125. You can get training that way. You can get a coach. Let them tell you when you can do a demo. Demos should cost no less than $2,000 by a reputable demo producer. And then you can start auditioning for jobs. I worked out of my basement for many years. I recorded 2 national campaigns in my basement, And my
Mm.
husband and I went to Home Depot or Lowe's and we got PVC pipe and we set up like a mock, like a corner in my basement
Hmm.
and with a desk. And then we got moving blankets and I punched holes through the top and put shower curtain rings and created walls. And then I
Wow.
bought foam off of eBay and I took a needle and thread and I sewed it onto the blanket to create foam walls.
Okay.
And then I put foam up on the, the ceiling tiles of the basement. And that was fine. I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of money on a studio or a ton of money on a microphone, right? You can get by recording in your closet. I have a colleague of mine who's recorded national campaigns. She's based in New York and she records out of her closet. All of the clothes are like foam and she has
Right.
great sound. So you don't need to spend a ton of money. If you're going to spend money, spend it on training and honing in on your craft.
I love it. I love it. And
Also,
go ahead.
consume any and all things Mark Scott. Mark Scott, MarkScott. He has a podcast called Viopreneur. He has Facebook groups. He has a YouTube channel. If you were to go back and start at his very first podcast ever and listen to all of them, you would be more equipped to be in the business of voiceover than anyone else. A lot of the stuff that he covers in his podcasts, he charges for. Like he has little packages, like little learning packages on his website that you pay $300, this, and this. And it's basically mostly covered in his free podcast. Just nobody wants to spend the time to go through all of that. So if you were to consume any and all things Mark Scott, get a decent coach and you'd be just fine. Just fine.
I love it. I love it. And that's great advice. Good advice for sure. It's a great segue too though. To this next question, which is uh, work-life balance and mental health. Those things are so important in this media space and industry. We deal with a lot of people that sometimes back away or walk away from different industries and different occupations because of mental health and work-life balance. Talk to me about how you keep your mental health strong, but also have that work life balance, right? We talked about you being a wife, you being a mother, daughter, friend. You have a lot of things, and you also work hard and play hard too, right? You seem like somebody who is very wonderful to be around. I certainly wouldn't mind being around you, but you seem like you work pretty hard too. So, talk to me about how you keep that balance.
I oftentimes I don't. Um, Listen, it's hard, especially nowadays with everything being so expensive.
Hmm.
If my bank account is low, it's my fault. It's no one else's fault. It's mine. And it's not always easy to go get jobs. You can't just, it's not as easy as some people think. And so I am challenged mentally quite often. I have days where I'm not good mentally, and I think that's okay.
It
It
is.
happens. It's
It is.
okay. And I think that what gets me out of those tough mental spots is practicing gratitude. I have so much to be grateful for and so much to be thankful for. And I think that practicing gratitude really helps in those moments.
I like that. Is there particular things that you maybe do to try to get yourself away from, doing voiceover acting? Like for me to get away from journalism and writing and media and stuff like that. I like to write poetry. I like to work out. Sometimes I give mama a call because I just want to check on her and hear her voice because she's far away. And sometimes I want to talk to my dad as well. He's far away too. So family, just talking to them kind of soothes me as well. Are there things or hobbies that you do to kind of get away from voiceover?
So this is going to sound out there, and I'm fine with it. There are some people who meditate. There are some people who do Tai Chi. There are some people who, do those kind of woo woo, kind of out there things. I've
Sure.
never been a woo woo person, but a friend of mine who was going through a battle with breast cancer introduced me to something that she was doing, and I was very hesitant. It took me over a year to finally say, fine, I'll do it. And it's called Qigong. And it is, if you were to see me doing it, it would look like Tai Chi, but it's not. And
Okay.
I went through a workshop with a, an ancient Chinese master, right? Like, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
And It honestly just relaxes me and it puts me in the right frame of mind. I mean, the first time I did it, I fell down on the bed and fell asleep for 45 minutes. It just releases all stress and anxiety, and it really puts me in the right space to practice that gratitude. So that's something that I do.
Qigong, you said
Qigong. It's
Qigong.
Qi, and then gong. I think it's
NG.
GOING, something along those
Okay.
lines. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you if you could, with all the projects that you've done, give me like a top four projects that you are really, really proud of doing in your voiceover career.
I voiced a national campaign for YouTube TV. I was the national voice of John Deere for 2 years.
Oh.
Um, I I have voiced multiple like nonprofit things.
Mhm.
Anytime I can lend my voice to a nonprofit that's doing great things, um, I really enjoy that. And let's see, number four. What would number four be? Trying to think.
I know I put you on the spot, but you're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good coming
I
up with
did
some
a
good stuff.
job. I have a longtime client who reached out and said, I know this is not what you normally do, but could you voice four different chickens for me? And I said, because I don't
Okay.
do animation, I don't do character work. But instead of saying no to that opportunity, I said yes because it took me out of my comfort zone. I called up one of my coaches and I said, can you help me work through this? And we created four different voices for four different chickens. And was it as good as if somebody who is a master in animation, if they were to do four chickens? No, it wasn't as good as that. But I challenged myself. I was uncomfortable, and the client was happy. So I think that that is something that I'm proud of.
You should be. It's one of the things I like to tell my young boys and young girls in life. You should be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's how I like to live my life, Christy. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. So when there's things that I'm not very good at, or things that I want to do that I'm not super excited about, I turn that uncomfortableness into a comfort. I think this, if you are able to handle difficult situations, it just strengthens your character, it strengthens your confidence, and it allows you to flourish, not only as a person in the media industry, but in life in general. You're just going to meet difficult people, you're going to meet difficult challenges, and if you are able to just deal with them, and turn, like I said, pessimism into optimism, it'll be better. And you turned that situation from an uncomfortable one that you never done into a comfortable one enough to where you are accepted by, the client. And that was amazing. That's amazing to hear. And I'm really, really happy that you did that.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Very welcome. We are now at the portion of the podcast where we are going to do this or that. It's an interactive game, Christy, that I like to do with all of my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. I just throw some things at you and you get to choose this or that. So, Christy,
Okay,
are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. All right, this first one here is pretty important. Which chicken place would you choose? Popeyes or KFC?
Popeyes.
Girl, you on point like a period. I like that. You are right. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. Let's keep it going. Which chicken wing flavors would you rather have on the chicken? Barbecue or lemon pepper?
Barbecue.
Okay. Do you like your wings wet or dry?
I don't like wings.
Okay. Okay. On chicken, would you like to have chicken wet or dry? Like,
Sauced. Yeah, sauced.
okay, got you. And do you like, okay, since you don't like wings, I'm sure that you like bone in chicken more
Sure.
so than, okay, got you. Say less. All right, here we go. Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Badminton.
Are you good at badminton?
I'm decent at badminton.
Okay, well, at least you didn't say bad. That's all.
I'm
That's all
decent.
that matters. At
Yeah.
least you didn't say bad. Okay, here we go. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Basketball or hockey?
Basketball.
Okay. These next four have to do with concerts you rather attend. So here we go,
Okay.
music-wise. Which concerts would you rather attend? Would you rather go see Boys the Men or New Edition?
New edition.
Okay, no hesitant from you. Okay, here we go. Which concert would you rather go to? Would you rather see Chris Brown or Usher?
Usher.
Okay, all right, here we go. Let's keep it going. Which concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Janet Jackson or Whitney Houston? There you go. Oh, so here we go. We got a little bit of controversy now. Okay, come on with it.
I'm only gonna say Whitney Houston because she has passed, and Janet Jackson is still alive, so I could still go see her, right? So I'm gonna say Whitney Houston, but honestly, both. But I'll say Whitney Houston.
Okay, this is the hypothetical one now. Which concert would you have rather seen? Prince or Michael Jackson? Mm,
Which
these are,
one would I have rather have seen?
that's right. This must be a good one because it got you thinking, girl.
They're both icons. They're
Uh-huh.
both amazing entertainers, right? It's not like one's just a good singer. Like, Mariah Carey is a great singer, but she's not that great of an entertainer, right? So, like,
Feel it.
they're both great entertainers. They're
Uh-huh.
both musically, they're both brilliant.
All that is true. You ain't said a lie, but you ain't made it to pick yet either.
I know. Does it matter? Okay. Is it which era? Which
We talking
Michael
about their
era?
prime. We talking about both of them in their primes. So in the 80s.
Yeah, I was about to say, because if it's Michael in the, uh,
Yeah, we ain't talking about Ben Michael. We're not talking like Ben, the two of us, Michael. No, we ain't talking about that. We're
like,
not
it's
talking
not
about
like
Prince.
fourth or fifth nose Michael. It's like second,
No.
third nose Michael.
Right. We ain't talking about all I want to say is that they don't really care about us, Michael. No. Or you are not alone, Michael. No. We talking about Thriller. Thriller, Michael. And we talking about Prince or When Doves Cry,
Purple
Prince.
Rain. Purple
Right.
Rain.
Right. We ain't talking about graffiti. Not graffiti. We talking about Purple Rain
Where
Prince.
are my seats in the concert?
Here you go. You try. Hey.
Listen, if it's
You in the
like way
hey,
up in the nosebleed, I don't.
Christy, you in the same damn row for both concerts. In the same row. Okay? Remember that third row from Sade? You right there. That's where you at. Seeing Prince or MJ. Come on now.
Michael
Talk to
Jackson.
me. Michael Jackson. Okay. Now listen, they could be 51 and 49. They could be really close. But you got to choose one. You chose
Okay.
MJ.
All right. Keep going. Keep going.
Here we go. All right. Do you like desserts?
Yes. Yeah. I have
Okay.
an issue with sugar. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to name four categories of desserts. You have to choose one of these. You'll eliminate, okay, and never eat again. So here we go. First one is cake. The second one is cookies.
Cake.
The third one is ice cream.
Cake.
The last one is candy. Which
Cake.
one are you choosing?
Cake.
Okay. You get rid of cake. What's your favorite ice cream?
No. I'm keeping cake. I want cake at
No.
all
You got to
times.
choose one of these that you'll never eat again.
Oh, that I'll never ice cream.
Oh, okay. So what's your favorite cake?
What cake is not a favorite cake?
Oh,
All the cakes are great.
I'm red velvet. I'm a red velvet dude, so I like red velvet cake. So
I'll say chocolate cake, but any cake is really a good cake.
any cake's really good. Okay, here we
Mhm.
go. Do you like potato chips?
Yes.
Okay, same format. I'm gonna name four brands. You got to
Okay.
choose one of these you'll never eat again. Okay,
Never eat again. All right, go.
never eat again. Here we go. First one is Pringles. The next one is Doritos. The next one is Lay's. The last one is Ruffles. Which one are
Pringles.
you? Oh,
Pringles aren't potatoes. You know that, right?
I do, but they're considered potato chips, though. They're considered. But
Pringles are not potato chips. They're not made of potato. Like if you actually know your Pringles, you know that
right,
they are not. So I can go without eating Pringles.
okay, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. As long as you didn't say Ruffles, you would have said Ruffles quickly. Would have been interview over. That's all. That's all I got to say. But Ruffles is my favorite. Okay, you did pretty well on this or that. You are very decisive. There's nobody's been more decisive than you. That's for sure. except on
Okay, well
MJ and
that's
Prince.
good, I guess. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, except on MJ and Prince, but that's okay. That's all
I was
right.
about to say
I'll give you that. I always love asking this question to people in media, and that is, if it wasn't voiceover acting that you were doing, what career would you have pursued and why?
I think that there's a couple. huh, I think that I could be a great teacher. I think I could be a great. I actually was a head varsity coach at an all girls school for volleyball.
Okay.
But it doesn't pay. You know what I mean? Like it's there's no pay in that. I think
Oh
I could
yeah.
have been a great coach, a great teacher. Um, yeah, I think either one of those.
I certainly would have brought an apple to your class. That's for sure. No question. No
I
question
want
about
cake.
that.
Bring cake.
Well, at least I know I have a plethora of choices to pick from. What is that?
There you go.
You like it all. I like it. That's what's up. Okay, let's talk about your campaign, Building Doors. I wanna know, how did it start? Where did the idea come from? What is it all about? What do you do? Like everything. Just break it down to me about your campaign going.
Sure. So for the past 5 years, I've been trying to break into male-dominated sports promo, and we've already discussed that I am a former college athlete. I'm a huge sports fan. Our
Mm-hmm.
children are active in sports, so it made sense to pursue this lane of voiceover, and it's a very niche, very small lane in our industry.
Right.
And when you think about watching the Super Bowl or watching a PGA tournament or the NBA Finals, in the weeks leading up to those events, you rarely hear a woman voicing the promos, encouraging you to watch those events. And I think that that needs to change. For the
Mm-hmm.
past 5 years, I have spent a decent amount of money invested in training, in demos, in workshops, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
to to voice male dominated sports promos. And I even did a lot of out of the box marketing and creative videos for teams I wanted to voice for. I did all the traditional means of trying to connect with these people to hire me or to even consider me, and nothing was
Mm-hmm.
working. And
Right.
I did a workshop with a prominent promo LA agent, and I asked her point blank, like, what are my chances? Because I've been spending a lot of time and money, and I'm really trying to do this. She goes, yeah, not so much. Unfortunately, the opportunities just aren't there for women. And she goes, don't get me wrong, you might hear an occasional woman here or there doing those things, but the
Sure.
opportunities to audition and those they're not as available to women as they are to men. And so the next day I
Mm.
woke up and I said, well, so the only thing that's keeping me back is my gender, and that's not right. So I need to, since there's no door for me to knock on, there's no door for me to kick in. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
build one, and I'm going to bring a bunch of other women with me to do it. And so I started the
Mm.
Building Doors campaign, and I partnered with women around the world to revoice scripts originally voiced by men in male-centric brands and genres. And what happened in that first month, and it was only going to be a month. I launched it in March of 2024 of this year in honor of Women's History Month.
Right.
And I did it because I was angry. I did it because I was frustrated and disappointed, and because I felt like there was nothing left for me to do. And this woman, this LA agent, she encouraged me to make my own noise. And so what happened during that first month was it kind of took off. And I think it took off because I hit a nerve with a lot of other women because they felt the
Sure.
same way that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And the success of the campaign has afforded me the opportunity to speak face to face with brands like the Cleveland Cavaliers, Valvoline Instant Oil Change, Sportsnet, the number one sports broadcasting network out of Canada. And
Right.
the conversations are wonderful. And they go something like this: Christy, until your campaign, I didn't realize that voiceover was an opportunity for us in diversity.
Sure.
Christy, because of your campaign, we are now going to audition an equal number of men and women and hear them both and make the decision then. And that's really all that Building Doors is asking for, is the opportunity for women's voices to simply be heard in the auditioning process. We're not trying to take jobs away from men. We're
Mm-hmm.
simply just trying to afford women the same opportunity. and
Mhm.
to be heard. And if the decision is, you know what, a man really is right for this spot, great, wonderful. But what Building Doors has then done is created an opportunity for a woman to be heard in a lane or genre that she otherwise wouldn't have been. And then the seed has been planted for that woman so that in projects down the line, 6 months, 8 months, they're going to remember how that woman sounded and either audition more women for that next project or go back to the women that they initially listened to, therefore creating more opportunities for women again
Right.
in these lanes that didn't exist. And so the campaign has been running for 10 months. We are trying to 10x our reach and our impact in 2025. And so, my big goal in 2025 is to do as many collaborations, partnerships, interviews like this one on podcasts, get on any type of stage I can speak on, and get the word out about equity in voiceover. And a lot of people, when I speak to them, the first things
Mhm.
they say are, "You're right. I didn't realize this. You're right. Now that I think about all the times that I've watched TV or streamed a sporting event, I don't hear
Right.
women. In fact, I heard a man voice a D1 volleyball NCAA championship spot. Or I just heard a man voice the WNBA. Like there's just so many examples that people don't even realize
Right.
until after the conversation about building doors. And so I'm very excited about 2025 and where this campaign can go and the impact it can make.
As you should be. That's amazing to hear, Christy. It really is. I mean, just telling that, and thank you for being transparent, telling about your story, about your, being able to be turned down, but talking to somebody about what you can do, and then giving a platform for people to be able to have their voices be heard, because that's the main thing. You're not trying to take people's jobs, but you are trying to level the playing field. You want the playing field to be equal. You want the opportunities to be equal. You want the just that alone. It doesn't have to be, oh man, well, we want to take over. There's nothing like that, and I'm not getting that
No,
sense. And it's not that vibe with you. I love the fact that you're doing it. It's really almost correlates with, as I said earlier, the reason why I do this podcast. I do a lot more women on here than men, but there's a reason why, because I feel that most women in the media space are not advocating or being advocated about their stories, and they're not really being pushed into hierarchy positions, and they're not really being, just exhibited how they should be. I said it before. I've gone to a lot of events, whether it be sports, news, or whatever, especially in local places. There's just not enough. There's not enough women involved, and I think it makes our media industry better when you have men and women in those spaces. It's great conversation. It's better for as far as financially goes. You're talking about women in sport spots and ads and promos having their voices be heard. More than 30% of the fans in sports are women, if not more in a percentage. But I know that men just don't watch sports. I mean, women do too. So it'd be great to be able to have some more voices in there saying some more spots. Um, I just think it would just be amazing. I mean, maybe I know I'm sort of rambling, but I really feel that in my heart because, kind of to go off topic before I get to this next question, I'm writing a feature story for my capstone. I'm in master school right now, so I'm getting my master's. And my feature story is about women sports reporters and the inequalities of race, pay, um, and opportunities. And I'm going to be speaking to at least 15 to 20 women on a local and national level and getting some quotes from them and writing about it. I feel like us men have to push the narrative too. It's great that women do it, but I don't know if it's going to be just good for enough for just women doing it. I think men should do it too.
yeah,
We should push the narrative because it's
yeah,
important to know that yes, opportunities need to be allocated to you guys as well, to women as well,
yeah,
um, for sure.
yeah. And
Um, but but
50%, over 50% of the fan bases of the NFL, the MLB, and the NHL are women.
there you go.
So
There you go.
it would behoove a brand to invest in more women behind and in front of the camera,
No question.
because women traditionally, I think it's 60 or 70% worldwide, control the purchasing power in their homes. So it just makes sense dollar wise to include more women all around.
Absolutely. No question about that. And women's sports is growing and
Yeah.
growing and growing, and that's also a good thing too. Uh, one of the things that I remember, I don't know if you remember, but when they had the bubble for the WNBA and the NBA, and they showed the pictures of the two weight rooms. I don't know if you remember
Oh
that.
yeah, I remember.
You
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That was wild, and that just sparked a little conversation then, but it's starting to take some steam now. To like,
Yeah.
we need to have more kind of equal type of landscapes here when we're dealing with men's sports and women's sports, not just the coverage, not just the pay, but the opportunities as well. And that's why, like I
Yep.
said, I'm writing about that, and I'm talking to different people about that as we speak. So I love that. I hope you do something special in March of 2025, because obviously that's the month of celebrating Women's Month. I hope you do something there. And anything that I can do to help, please let me know. No
Well,
question.
thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yes, indeed. Advice. What is some advice that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to? Talk about advice you would give someone, but what is some advice that someone gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Hmm. I am a big quotes person. I get inspired by quotes from famous people. I get inspired by quotes by just that I see like online. And one of the quotes that resonates with me the most is the greatest source of energy is having pride in what you are doing.
Okay,
And so if you feel like you can't do something or you're just so tired, oh, I don't want to go do this. I don't want you don't have pride in what you're doing. I have no lack of energy for the Building Doors campaign or my career because I have pride in what I'm doing and I know what I'm doing is of service and is making difference. So I work at all hours and it doesn't bother me. I don't consider it a job. And so when you can find pride in what you're doing, whether that be being a janitor, whether that be a chef, a baker, whether that be a teacher, a voice actor, um, or a policeman, right? If you have pride in what you are doing, instantly you will have the energy to accomplish it. So I don't know that necessarily that was advice that was given to me, but it definitely was a quote that resonates with me and that I think about often.
I love it. No, you're absolutely right. Well said. Um, we are getting towards the end of the podcast. And what I want to do is I want to do some rapid fire with you. So what that means is I'm gonna just throw some things and first thing that comes to your mind. Okay, let's rock.
Oh, let's do it.
Burgers or tacos?
Tacos,
Okay, pancakes or waffles?
pancakes,
Okay, chicken or ribs?
chicken,
You sure?
chicken,
You chicken? Okay, I'm
chicken,
just making sure. All right. Favorite color?
blue,
Okay. Favorite board game?
Monopoly,
I'm beasting that too. Favorite card game?
poker,
Okay. If you had three people to take with you plus one, which makes four, on a vacation, who would those three people be? And what vacation spot would you go to if you go to anyone in the world?
I would take my family to where would we want to go?
Mm,
Uh, we'll go to Italy.
okay. That's on the bucket list of mine too. Just got my passport this year, so I'm definitely gonna be traveling for sure. I like that. If you had a choice to choose between three songs or three artists to listen to and never get tired of listening to them, who would those three artists or three songs be?
Earth, Wind, and Fire,
The Elements. I love it.
Michael Jackson,
Okay.
and Gustav Holst.
Wow. We okay. I don't know about
Gustav
that
Holst
last.
is a classical composer.
Okay.
He composed a symphony called The Planets. And so there's each planet has their own symphony. And I think they're all beautiful. And I don't want to listen to only one genre of music. And since I already picked like pop
Yeah.
and then I picked like, yeah, so that's what I would say.
I love it. Okay. Favorite alcoholic drink?
Venezuelan rum.
Mm, okay. I don't think I've had that before, but I damn sure would like to try it. Venezuelan
Hard to
rum.
find. It's hard to find in the States, but it is the smoothest drink you'll ever have. I love Cacique. The brand is called Cacique. Venezuelan
Okay.
rum is amazing. Yes, favorite alcoholic beverage is Venezuelan rum.
Got you. Favorite TV show?
I grew up watching Thursday nights, the 8 o'clock hour, The Cosby Show, and Family Ties.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I will forever remember those shows, and I don't think many compare. So yeah.
You ain't lying about that. Cosby was really good.
Hmm.
If you had a choice to do just one job for the rest of your life, would it be voiceover? Would it be producing? Would it be writing? Would it be marketing? Which job would you choose if you had one of those choices of selections to do for the rest of your life?
Public speaking.
Public speaking.
Hmm.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Do you have any engagements lined up?
I've done some public speaking. I'm going to be traveling to Chicago to do to be an MC of an event, but I think you can make the most impact when you're face to face with people.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think that if you're capable of getting on stage, whether that be for a group of 15 or a group of 5,000, I think you can make the most impact. And I think I would definitely be a public speaker.
I definitely see that. No question about it. Just your presence alone, and the poise you have, and then the passion you have as well for the projects you do. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
Christy, this has been a really, really dope conversation. It really has. Of
Thank you.
learning about your beginnings, learning about what you do and who you are, and the building doors campaign that you have, or
Yes.
it's a program, but campaigns that you have, the
Yes.
voiceover things that you've done, the favorite things that you've done in voiceover, and just the advice that you gave is really, really it's impactful to me, and will be impactful to others if they just take a chance to listen to it. As I always do in my podcast. The final question is there anything else that you would like to add about yourself, the job, the campaign, or anything at all before we conclude?
Yeah, I would appreciate if if one of your listeners or one of your community watches this and is interested in learning more, if you could please follow us at Building Doors VO. We're on
Yeah.
LinkedIn and Instagram. So that's
Hmm.
at Building Doors VO. We're trying to grow those communities so that we can have the biggest impact. Um, the first month of the campaign, a woman, her name is Ashley Tirado, she voiced a spot for Honda Sport that was originally voiced by a man.
Yeah.
And because that spot was shared and liked and tagged and shared, she ended up getting a job. She ended up, an ad agency in Florida hired her out of the blue to voice a bunch of Honda spots because they saw the spot that she did part of the campaign. And
Mm.
so there's power in community and there's power in just pushing that share button. So I would encourage everyone listening to follow us at Building Doors VO. And when you see a woman revoicing a script from a predominantly male centric brand or commercial, like it and share it to your network because it will help.
I know I certainly will. No question about that. And that's great. Great way to end this podcast. Christy, you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and the rest of your week. You and I would definitely be in touch. It was so amazing talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You too.
Bye bye.